Politics is a very interesting game. And in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence. Everything in politics is normally well designed to achieve a specific political objective. Gideon Moi was given the go-ahead by KANU to run for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya in 2022. And personally, I've always opined that Gideon Moi will one day become the president of the Republic of Kenya. But Gideon Moi cannot become the president of the Republic of Kenya in 2022. But why did he declare his interest? Of course, it was intended to achieve specific political objectives. So in this video today, I want us to look at how the entry of Gideon Moi into the 2022 presidential race is going to complicate the equation for the top candidates in this country. But before we do that, if you're watching this channel for the first time, I want you to take a second or two and click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Now let us get back to business. And I want to begin by asking you a very simple question. Question number one. Do you think the entry of Gideon Moi into the 2022 presidential race is going to affect Raila Odinga? Yes or no? In my view, I don't think it's going to affect Raila Odinga much. Why? Raila Odinga's main competitor in 2022, even if Gideon Moi was not running, is going to be William Samoei Ruto. But William Ruto controls the larger Rift Valley. So apart from perceptual value, I don't think Gideon Moi is going to affect Raila Odinga that much. Do you think his entry is going to affect the Deputy President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto? If you ask me, to some extent, and I'm going to get into details about that. Then what about the One Kenya Alliance movement? In my view, One Kenya Alliance movement is the biggest casualty of Gideon Moi's entry into the 2022 general election. Gideon Moi has an advantage which most presidential candidates do not have. Number one, Gideon Moi in 2013 and 2017 refused to merge his party KANU to form the larger Jubilee Party. So here's KANU. KANU is the oldest political party in this country. And if you cut President Uhuru Kenyatta's blood, your chance of getting KANU positive are normally very high. So KANU as a political party has structures across the country. So Gideon Moi is actually benefiting from those particular structures. KANU is the only party in this country where it's possible to walk in any streets or in any village and you'll find a mzee wearing ile tie ya KANU, ile, what do we call it? Ile kitu ya kuweka hapa ya KANU, proudly displaying KANU card. So that's how powerful KANU is. Gideon Moi is a son of a former president. That alone means that during those periods, there are people who benefited from Moi's presidency. Most of these people are actually sympathetic to Gideon Moi. And Gideon Moi, being the fact that he comes from that family, is also rich. So those are some of the advantage Gideon Moi will bring during his presidential campaigns. But how is this entry going to affect William Samoei Ruto? It's going to affect him this way. Number one, Gideon Moi comes from Rift Valley. Politics is about perception. By the fact that Gideon Moi launched his presidential bid, and of course, if you ask me, it was well organized, but the messaging did not come out very strongly. The mere fact that he comes from Rift Valley means now we have two presidential candidates, serious ones, from Rift Valley. Although William Ruto is going to win, but there's that perceptional value which Gideon Moi is going to remove from the DP. That despite the fact that he's coming from Rift Valley, he has a competitor who is also competing for the same seat. And this is going to affect him through perceptional value. And also, there's a chance that Gideon Moi might sneak with some few members of parliament here and there maybe a senator here and there, a governor here and there, an MCA here and there, maybe a women rep. In Baringo, he can get that. In Pokot, he can get that. He can sneak one in Narok or two. Gideon Moi's party can also sneak one in Kajiado. That would affect the DP. The DP would want a situation where, like, for example, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka is the only presidential candidate from Ukambani. He's assured of the total support of Ukambani so that he won't be able to focus or send his troops to go to Baringo. Raila Odinga doesn't have any serious competitor in Nyanza, so he will not have that luxury of time to even spend time in Nyanza like he did last time. So that's number one. Number two is the Moi factor. Just like I was explaining that Moi was the president of the Republic of Kenya for 24 good years. During that period, Moi made money. So Moi is a billionaire, the family. So they have the money. Money plays a role in politics. Of course, the DP also has money, but sometimes I question whether the deputy president money can match those of Gideon Moi, or even those of Uhuru Kenyatta, or even those of Raila Odinga, when now they are put to match. Those old money can be used to influence voters. Then apart from that, Moi factor would also mean that they are billionaires. They are former members of parliament. They are former senior government officials from Rift Valley and across the country who benefited from Moi. So these people, mostly from Rift Valley, will definitely back Gideon Moi. And that will be problematic to the deputy president, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. Like I was reading that this Langat, the Mombasa tycoon, had a differences with the DP, but they mended. So such kind of individuals, their chances of funding Gideon Moi just to disrupt the DP are normally very high. But if elections were to be held today, tomorrow, or even in 2022, I strongly believe that the deputy president is going to outwit, thoroughly embarrass Gideon Moi in the larger Rift Valley. So that's how it's going to affect William Ruto. It's not much. Just like Gideon Moi's entry into politics is not going to affect Raila Odinga that much. But how is it going to affect One Kenya Alliance? Because in my view, One Kenya Alliance are the biggest casualty of Gideon Moi's entry into the 2022 presidential election. How is his entry going to affect the One Kenya Alliance movement? Number One Kenya Alliance movement's main objective was to block Raila Odinga from the presidency. When Gideon Moi launched his presidential bid, he never mentioned One Kenya Alliance movement. During that event, Raila Odinga was invited. KANU members were seated there. When Raila Odinga made his entry, they all went into frenzy. When he rose to speak, the sound of aya, aya rented the air. You can't compare the reception Raila Odinga got from KANU supporters to those Kalonzo or Mudavadi received. So which means from there alone, the idea of blocking Raila Odinga, using One Kenya Alliance to block Raila Odinga is not going to be possible. Because Gideon Moi is with Raila Odinga. That's the reality. And probably that's why he even never mentioned One Kenya Alliance movement. If you looked at the branding there was nothing like One Kenya movement. Not a single indicator. It was purely KANU. So they're going to suffer because if their objective was to block Raila Odinga or force certain people to support them in the hope that Raila Odinga was being favored, then those dreams are now not valid. So that's number one. Number two, and this is the reality, Gideon Moi is the favorite presidential candidate for President Uhuru Kenyatta. If Uhuru Kenyatta were to be given a chance to choose a presidential candidate amongst the One Kenya Alliance, he will definitely choose Gideon Moi. And the fact that Gideon Moi is now deciding to run for the presidency under KANU, then of course, if we were to even decide to run under One Kenya Alliance movement, the president is likely to support him. And if Uhuru is going to support him, then that's going to be a challenge for the other presidential candidates in One Kenya Alliance. For example, if you look at Musalia Mudavadi, his hopes has always been on the deep state. The other day, his main guy, Kimemia, endorsed Raila Odinga. So which means now he's now a shell. And Gideon Moi can definitely give them trouble. So that's number 2. Number 3, by declaring his bid, Gideon Moi has actually raised his stake in One Kenya Alliance movement. He has raised his negotiations stake in the One Kenya Alliance movement. So which means when they sit down, he will tell them, we are now equal. I'm going for the presidency. Kalonzo, I want you to support me. Mudavadi, I want you to support me. So Musalia Mudavadi will no longer have only Kalonzo as another presidential candidate from One Kenya Alliance. Now he will have to deal with Gideon Moi as a factor. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka will also have now to deal with Gideon Moi because Musyoka had also banked that he was going to get support from Rift Valley, especially those former KANU members. Now Gideon Moi is coming into the picture. He has raised his stakes. So all of us, we want to run for the presidency. Who is going to come down? None. So in that case, who do we support? Gideon will rush to Raila Odinga. And that's how One Kenya Alliance movement is going to die. Number 4, Gideon Moi has the money. And One Kenya Alliance movement were going to be the biggest beneficiary of this money. But now he's saying, I'm running. But not under Oka. I'm running under KANU. Of course, even when One Kenya Alliance movement started moving around the country initially, at the initial stages, there were these stories that Gideon Moi was fully funding the outfit. Now, akianza to run for the presidency as Gideon Moi, what will that mean? He will no longer fund the One Kenya Alliance movement. And that probably explains why the presence of One Kenya Alliance movement has actually reduced greatly in this country. The power of money. And lastly, the fact that he has increased his stake means that he can decide, Gideon Moi can decide to complicate the equation by declaring that he is the sole presidential candidate. Or he can say, for me, I'm coming with money, I'm coming with KANU, both of us, we are former KANU guys. I have the President Uhuru Kenyatta support. Kalonzo Mudavadi, agree. Who is your presidential candidate amongst you? Then for me, I'm going to be the running mate to that candidate. What will they do? They will have no option. I don't know what to think. But personally, Gideon Moi's presidential bid is going to affect William Samoei Ruto to a very small extent. It's also going to affect Raila Odinga to almost zero. But the biggest casualties are going to be the One Kenya Alliance movement, led by who? Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Moses Masika Wetangula. Tomorrow I want to do a video on 2 things. Number 1, Jimmy Wanjigi, his statement in Mombasa. That's something that we need to look at. Jimmy Wanjigi's mission in ODM is now clear. ODM party should decide to either entertain him or deal with the aftermath. The second video I want to do is whether the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, has actually started losing grip of the country ahead of 2022 general election. Because you all remember that the Deputy President has been running alone for the last 4 years. Now other players have now declared and are now going out there. And Mwangi Kiunjuri himself won the DP. So is he losing the grip? And if he's losing the grip, why is he losing the grip? Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day. Bye-bye.